Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our sixth and final session. Great to see so many people sticking with us all the way through to the end of our AI Impact Studios. This is super exciting to see you all back here. We are going to get things underway. You guessed it, 2 minutes past the hour. So make yourselves comfortable. I'm going to get a drink of water and we will begin very soon. Okay, everybody, it's 2 minutes past, so let's get things underway. Amazing to have everyone back here again. I can't believe we're crossing 300 people in our final session. It's very exciting. And I think it does just show how much appetite there is for all this AI stuff. And I really hope you've enjoyed the journey. If anyone's been with us through all 6 sessions, you're a champion. And if anybody was unable to join all of them, remember they are all recorded and they will be sent to you afterwards. We're going to be sending individual links. We're also going to turn our landing page into a nice resource where you'll have all the links, all the questions answered. So I want to get that one right out of the way. We'll see if there are any more questions about that as we go through. But yes, all questions will be answered after the session, if not here, and all sessions are recorded. So our topic for today is automate your operations. AI workflows that work while you do. And our aim here in this session is to kind of turn some of the specific, more product related content we've given so far into a couple of end-to-end workflows. I'm really specifically focusing here on the connection between two tools, right? You need something to happen, you need something else to happen. What's that piece in between the two that connects them? And what are the best ways that you could make that work? So we've got a couple of different use cases that we'll run through with you today. And of course, we will do our best to answer as many questions as we can throughout the session. So, for those of you who don't yet know us, we'll do a very, very quick introduction of ourselves and then of the nonprofit program. So, it is fabulous to be with you all, especially if anyone is joining for the first time. My name is Alex. I am your nonprofit success manager. My job is to work with as many of our 27,500 active nonprofits as possible, help them be as successful as they can on our platform. So I'm leading lots of these trainings. There's pre-recorded stuff and more live content coming up that you'll be able to find online. Links will be provided, but you can see that easily at the Monday Academy. And I'm joined today, as always, by my fearless companion, Omer. How are you doing?
Doing great, doing great. Really excited. I will just say a couple words before we get into it. Really, this is the first Impact Studio that we've ever done. So it's great to see the amount of participation and great questions, and this only makes us smarter for next time, first of all. Secondly, you've gave us such a tremendous amount of feedback that we will have some homework to do after this week, and we will definitely improve and enhance this as we go along. I will also say, Alex, can I share my screen for 1 second?
Absolutely.
Um, there were some requests, very valid requests about like recordings, about the frequently asked questions. We saw a lot of repeating questions as well. So we decided that we'll bundle everything in one page and really package it so it's a lot more accessible and all the knowledge is in one place. So we will probably have it on our Impact Studio website, but keep an eye out. This is the website that you signed up to the Impact Studio from. Um, I'm assuming it will be here, most likely, but keep an eye out. We'll probably send a notification about that in the upcoming weeks. We'll have here the templates that we promised and the frequently asked questions and everything we can as kind of this bundled resource of AI Impact Studio. So this is the last session for this edition, and we will be back with more in the future. So anything you have here, also like feel free to ask. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible. And again, we will be communicating with you about this after this week as well. Back to you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I see a question here from Anat asking if we'll send a recording. So just to let everyone know, yes, we are going to send a recording, and I'll just explain the resource we'll be putting together. So no problem if you do have to drop out for any reason. Yeah, thank you very much for that little summary. Super helpful, and I hope everyone's excited to see that page revamped with yeah, all of your content. Like we really are learning from you folks here what's going to be interesting, what's going to be the gaps that we need to help fill, and we are happy to try and provide that as a resource. Cool. So in today's agenda, in the next 53 minutes, I will begin, as always, with a quick intro about the nonprofit program. If anyone is joining us for the very first time, I want to make sure you can get in the door. All this AI training and all these templates and resources and all these great questions will only get you so far. I want to make sure that everyone at least can get started. So make sure that there's no barrier there. And then basically my plan today is to demonstrate 4 different nonprofit use cases. And again, like I said, I really want to focus on the kind of automation section here between the 2 various tasks. So the first one, pretty simple use case, a donation arrives. Okay, that could come in many different forms, but the next step you want to do is to send a thank you email. What are the best ways to do that? The second one, you have a bunch of projects, you want to generate a monthly report, and you want to turn that into some kind of document. I've put here a PDF, but you know, anything will do here. Number 3, you find a new grant, or a new grant is found for you. There's a clue. And then you need to populate your board with the tasks that this specific grant asks you to complete. Okay, how would you do this the best? What would be the best way to sort of pass off this task to this task? And number 4, you've found out some more information about your donor. You then want to leverage that valuable new information into a unique email to reach out to them and yeah, ultimately, let's be honest, ask them for more money, but make that more subtle, make that more personal. What are the best ways to do that? And you know, you can probably guess I'm not going to be telling you spend hours and hours researching this and doing it yourself. So these are 4, I think, pretty common, pretty sort of straightforward use cases to grasp. Hopefully, this will be a bit more practical than theoretical, and we can actually see 4 concrete examples from beginning to end, and yeah, some kind of best practices for how to do it. So to get us started, let's play a little game. Omer played a similar one with you folks in our agent session. So for each use case, I'd love to hear what you would build. And there is no one right answer here. Like we saw in Amichai's session about Monday Vibe, it can do things that also other parts of Monday can do. So there may be more than one way here to achieve this. I'm looking at the most efficient way without kind of going overkill. So the first one, a donation arrives, you need to send a thank you email. What do you think we should do here? What tools would you recommend we use? Let's take a look at people in the chat. Anyone have any thoughts on the best tool here? Okay, Joel, Pilar, Bradley suggesting automations. Yep, there's a couple of options here like Heather's gone through. But I totally agree. I think you can do this one with an automation. It's a simple, repetitive task. It's got a defined start and a defined end. Okay, it doesn't have these like endless questions around it. And there's really no autonomy or kind of custom element to this. Okay, it'll pull in a donor's name, and that's kind of all we really need here. Now, of course, you could take this to the next level and have a more sophisticated solution generate a more in-depth or personal email. But that's not what we've asked for here. We've just asked for a simple thank you email. So I put this one in as an example exactly of an automation. Automations haven't changed that much since the advent of AI, right? We can use AI to build them more quickly, but they're still there. And if it's a simple use case, you can still use an automation, right? On the nonprofit program, you get 25,000 free automation runs every month. So if you can automate it, let's automate it. You don't need to complicate it. Of course, this session is all about telling you what amazing AI features there are to use. But if it's a simple use case, you don't need to use AI necessarily. So I put that one in as one example that I'll still show you with an automation. And by the way,
Alex,
AI can help us still here as well. Yeah, Omer?
sorry to interrupt, just to emphasize, when we're thinking automations, just like Alex said, it's something that's repetitive, but kind of like a one-time thing, very, very one layered, as opposed to an agent where it's think repetition and think reasoning. Is there a decision-making process? Does the task repeat, but it needs to have different perspective or different interpretations maybe sometimes? So repetition and reasoning, those would be the main things that you should keep in mind.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think it is an important limitation to say here, right? This is going to be a pretty generic email as a result. So you got a trade-off here. But the ask was a thank you email, and that's going to produce that. So yeah, great point. Okay, the next one, a monthly report as a PDF. Okay, you maybe have to produce this to some team members who aren't in Monday. We all know that there's people out there. Maybe you're bored, are a bit technophobic. I know you're super into this AI stuff, but not everybody is. What would you use to generate a report as automatically as possible once a month, giving a summary of your projects and send it to them as a PDF or maybe other tools as well? What kind of tools would people use here? Okay, a bit more diversity here. Agents, automations, maybe some other tool to integrate with Monday, like a Zapier, a charts automation. Brad, if a report is standard, then an automation will be fine. So you're right. This one's a little bit trickier, and I think it does depend on how much detail you want in your report. And I'll show you in a moment when we demo it that can vary, okay? But the way I describe the task, it's analyzing multiple boards. Okay, there's several projects here, so it needs to be able to pick apart several different sources. It does have a defined start and end, right? It starts the last day of the month or whatever you're saying here, and then it sends this report. So it's a little bit more controlled than some of the super complex tasks, but those next steps may be more complicated. Like we say, as a PDF, what does that really mean? Is that just being stored in Monday, or are we sending it to someone? So this one, I kind of deliberately made a little bit on the edge, and there's a lot of ways you could do that depending on how complex you wanted this report to be, how detailed, how automated. But I think here, what I will recommend is to use Sidekick. I think it's a great tool for Sidekick because, sorry, a great task for Sidekick because it doesn't have that kind of open-ended nature that agents are really good at. It does still have that kind of clear boundary, but it does have a bit more complexity than just a regular automation because it's pulling from multiple boards and maybe you want to do something with the PDF. So I love that there was a variety of answers there, but my vote would be Sidekick. Okay, number 3, finding grants and populating tasks. Oh, no, I want to see what people answer first. You want to find a new grant, you want to put it into your board, and you want it to display with the tasks that are required to complete this thing. What do we reckon about this one? Okay, agent. Someone's just built an agent to do this. That's amazing. A Vibe could do it. Sidekick maybe. But yeah, I reckon this one, I would go for an agent. In fact, I would say because we have so many elements, we've got a dynamic web search. Agents are great at that. It needs to be able to make changes in the platform. and it needs to pass tasks here. This is, I think, the real key. It's got these two different elements. And the best way to get the AI to do two quite different things is to have two different AI products, AI elements doing them. So one agent can do the search, and then one agent can extract the data, and you can pass them between each other. So Sidekick could definitely take one or other of those steps, but I think the optimal way of doing this would be actually with two different agents. Agents work best when they have very specialized jobs, they're trained for a specific task, and then we can connect the two together. Amazing. We're doing great. So, fourth and final example, enriching donor information. That means finding out more about our donors than we currently know, improving our database, and then sending them really detailed personal emails as a result of this extra information we've just found out. What do we think about this one? And again, I'll check the chat here. Sidekick, Vibe. There's a few combination suggestions here, which I love. This one, I confess, I think is the most flexible. Really, there will be a lot of ways you could achieve this. But I've actually gone with an agent. I think one agent could do this whole task.
Alex, I'll just say that I love all the Vibe answers because I think also we learned something today about Vibe that you can actually send emails through it, which we didn't know. So it shows also that people were listening, which is great. And yeah, we all learned something new here.
And I guess it was a bit of a trick that I didn't include Vibe in any of these. Amichai would not be happy with me in my use case examples. But I do think that Vibe, the Vibe works really well when it's like we said, something that we're coming back to all the time, and we want to refer to it all the time. We may want our agent to enrich our donors once every 6 months, once a year, but it's not the most kind of the way the Vibe that Amichai described the Vibe use case to me really sunk in, where he said it's like your frequently asked questions, right? This is something you're referring to all the time, so let's get it into a Vibe. Whereas if it's something a bit more sporadic, then maybe there's other tools for it. So that's why I've gone with an agent. Okay, I didn't want to spend too long in this slide. I actually spent longer here than I thought, but I hope that's useful to understand the motivation behind these. So let's take a look at each of these in turn now. We'll start with the really simple one in automation. Okay, this is something that you've probably seen before with other courses that I've run, but I do think it's important to remember automations are still there. So this is the donors board and the donations board that live in the donor management template. There is still a template center. You can still download these boards, still use them for free. Nothing's changed there. I want to add an automation. Now, when I create a new automation, nowadays we do have the option of having AI help us out. So I could still build it the old way, or I can come in here and have AI build it. Someone in the last session said, I find it really difficult to build automations. I'm clumsy. Is there a way for AI to help me? Yes, there is. I can say, instead of when an item is created and think like a Monday bot, I can just say it in real language. When a new donation arrives, send a thank you email to that donor. Okay, generate it, and we'll see what the AI comes up with. I'm pretty sure I can guess what it's going to do. When an item is created, then send an email to someone. Brilliant. Super straightforward. We probably didn't need AI to help us there, but if your automation was more complex, AI can help you build out these automations for you. Now, I've actually already built this, so I don't need to show it because I've already got one here. I actually also added another little element to mine. I said also create an update in the item just to show this text. So the email that I wrote says, thank you for your donation. Dear item's name, this is not using AI, it's just pulling from the board whoever the donor was. We've just received a donation of item's donation amount. Again, this is the old-fashioned way, it still works, and wanted to share our sincere thanks. It really makes a difference in the lives of the people we're helping. Have a great week. Sincerely, the nonprofit. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I've got that same text included as an update so we can see what's been said to people. And now let's just add an automation, add a new donation. to see that in action. Here I will create a new donation. Let's imagine someone walked into the office today with a nice wodge of $5,000. That donation came, let's say, from Madison. It was a one-off donation. I'll connect it to her here and create that item. And that should, by creating a new item, trigger this automation to run. So let's just take a look at that. New donation, it's arrived at the top here. Okay, let's see when the automation runs. This should now trigger that email to be sent without any fancy extras. Okay, we'll leave that just a second to load and to think. Now, an important restriction, a limitation to note, that email is not personalized beyond her name and any data you have in this board. That is a plain text email. Okay, it's just plain text. You can't embed links or graphics or change colors. So it is restricted, but it is possible. Okay, here we go. At the bottom right, it says an automation is running. There we go. An automation triggered an app action. I have a little notification popped up here. Let's check the update section and we should see, there we go, the text from that email. That means the email has been sent and Madison will have been given that thank you. Now that donation could have arrived many different ways. I entered this manually. You could have, of course, synced it up with a different platform so that it's all a one automatic system. So there you go, one nice, simple example. The next one I wanted to show you is this monthly recap, okay, of various projects. So to do that, I will reopen this section here. These are the 3 projects that I have going on in my nonprofit: an annual fundraising gala, a community health initiative, and a digital literacy rollout program. And I'm going to use Sidekick for this one. So I click here on the Sidekick button and I will tell it, please. Someone told me off the other day for writing please, you know. I'm never sure if we should be bowing down to our robot overlords or treating them like like tools to use. Analyze the 3 project management boards. And create a report for my boss. It should summarize which tasks are going well and which are at risk. I'd like to see it eventually as a PDF. Okay, now let's see, first of all, if it can pick which 3 project management boards I'm referring to. Okay, these are not maybe the best instructions. I've got an account full of project management boards, but it's pretty smart. So I wanted to give it a little bit of a test, and we can always give it those specific, board names or board IDs if we have to. They're still listed over there on the left. So it's going to have a little think here. And as we've seen before with Sidekick, we can go back and forth on this one, okay? We can discuss with it what we want this report to include. Now, it will do a pretty good job, I assume, of pulling out the most important elements, but it needs to be guided, just like anyone else in your nonprofit. Tell it what's important, and yeah, we can improve that process as well. Now, while it's thinking, I did also want to say that we could also go for a more analog approach to this, right? We could have, for example, created a dashboard. We could connect those 3 boards to our dashboard and we could build a report ourselves, right? We could then enhance it, like we saw in the vibe session. We could add a new vibe widget if we don't like the design of the Monday graph. We could ask AI to pull out insights into the report that we are building. Okay, there's a lot of different options there. We don't have to go down the full AI route using Sidekick. And from the dashboard, there is an option to generate a report which will be sent on a certain cadence. So that still exists as a non-AI option. But I think this will be a little bit more impressive and a little bit more detailed. So again, it's really a question of weighing up what kind of report we're looking for here, how complex you want to make it, how much AI you want to use, and you are really in control here. Okay, still
Well,
thinking, thought
while it's
project.
thinking, Alex, maybe I'll just also say
Mm-hmm.
here that we have a little surprise for whoever's here. We uh, have some agent templates that will share with you their instructions. So for the 4 agents that we are showing you also right now, and also we showed you earlier this week, we will share with you simple spreadsheet where you can either copy paste the instructions or copy paste the links. Wow, look at all these reactions. I'm blushing. Great. So that's gonna be in a bit. Yeah, and I'm passing it back to you, Alex.
Great. Okay, so maybe while it's thinking, let's go back here. And you know what? I'll open a new browser here, and I'll just show you very, very briefly that it's not the right workspace. Right, the old-fashioned way. I can come here to create a dashboard, project management overview. Right, and then I'll connect it to the 3 boards in question: the annual fundraising gala, the community health initiative, and the digital literacy program rollout. Great. We can now start adding widgets. Hang on, why is it only connected to? It's missing the community health. Great, so let's add our widgets, maybe a chart. And just like that, it's produced this nice little graph. We can keep on going, adding more of these things, showing progress, blah, blah, blah. And then the buttons that I wanted to show you up here are the manual way of doing this, right? I can export this as a PDF myself. That still works. Another nice feature is I can schedule this to be exported. So I can write the email. Okay, schedule it to be sent at 9 o'clock on a Monday morning to who? To the manager. Design the PDF here with very, very limited restrictions, with very limited flexibility, but I can still do that. Okay, I can download it manually, or I can schedule this to be sent via my email. That will still work. What we're hoping to do here, though, is something a little bit more than just that. And let's go back to Sidekick and see what it's come up with. Here we go. While we were working on our old-fashioned way, Sidekick's already completed it. Your PDF report is ready. Here is a summary of what it covers. So here is the PDF. The instructions that I gave you were pretty much to create a PDF. That's it. So we could just download this. We've completed our task. But we also want to think beyond that and think how we're going to get this into the hands of our board members, of our managers, of the people who maybe aren't already in Monday. So what does the report contain? A critical issue. Most of these tasks are unassigned. We saw this in a previous session. And here are the top 3 action items for the week. Okay, amazing. Now, what I could do, if I really want to be, extra credit, although that wasn't part of the instructions, I could now say, send this PDF in an email. And we'll see what it proposes, but because I've already synced my Gmail account with Monday, here we go. It says Gmail is connected. Amazing. Who should I send it to? What's your boss's email address? And would you like me to draft a subject line and keep it brief? Okay, amazing. So I'll send it to board members at nonprofit.org. You can write the subject. And this is again where we are in the loop. If we wanted to define it ourselves or control it, we can. We can say just send it all the time. We can control exactly what's going to happen here. So this is sort of the human in the loop element rather than letting the Sidekick run completely on its own. And we can control here what's coming out of it. Amazing. So here is the board. Dear board members, here is the report. Amazing. Looks pretty good. I can then send it. It's already coming from my Gmail because it knows who I am. If we wanted to share this in other ways, we could also, Sidekick integrates with WhatsApp and Slack, and of course Monday. So if you wanted to create that PDF as a Monday doc and tag someone on it, you could also do that. I'm really following the instructions to the letter of the law, which was to create a PDF, and that was successful here. We can see it. You know what? Let's actually take a look at the PDF so you can see how it looks. Executive Portfolio Health Report, analyzing each of these boards. Overall, what's at risk? I mean, that is pretty cool, I have to say. I'm pretty impressed with Sidekick's job there. I'm loving it. Um, could we have done this another way? Absolutely. There's a more basic way, like we saw, building a report yourself. There's maybe even a more sophisticated way, having an agent do this on a recurring basis. But I think based on the instructions of doing this with a dedicated time frame, one off, Sidekick is the one for me. Amazing. So, Omer, what I would love to do now is just check in and see if there are any questions you want to raise. And if not, I'll pass the mic over to you and we can have a look at that third use case around grant management.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. No, nothing. Yes, the CRM came up a couple times. So with Monday CRM, you should also be able to create custom agents and then connect them to relevant boards. So definitely we encourage you guys to try that out. We wanted to keep these sessions focused, so we didn't also share the use cases on CRM, but definitely we encourage you guys to do that as well and test it out. And share the information if you found out something that helps you out also with CRM. Let us know. I think I will jump into what I have
Let's go.
prepared for you
Let's do
guys. Okay, just one second. All right, see my screen? Perfect. Okay, so what I've done here is a connection between two agents actually. So one is my grant finder, which I have we've shared earlier this week, and the other one is an agent that extracts requirements and turns them into deadlines. So we have Manny, the grant discovery agent. Basically, what Manny does, it adds daily, like you can see here, triggers. Sorry. Okay. Right now, I didn't set a trigger, but basically the idea here is to set it up daily, weekly, or monthly. It's something that you can do manually here. And what Manny does, it finds 5 relevant grants. So basically what it does, it's a web search, okay? And it imports all the grants to this group over here. And then we have Amanda, our lifecycle agent, that her trigger is when a status changes, then to start breaking down requirements into tasks. And what that looks like in practice, this territory over here, new grant research, this is Manny's, the grant finder. This is his or its area. So basically what it'll do, it'll inject into here just like it did throughout these last few days through the demos, 5 grants every time I activated it. Now, Amanda, the grant lifecycle, will work on this group, okay? So the way you do that is within triggers, okay? We have the brain that we talked about a lot yesterday, but within the triggers, I set it for status changes to working on it, or when status changes to awarded. The difference between these two is when it's working on it, it starts populating the requirements pre-award. And when it's awarded, it starts populating the requirements post-award. So any reporting requirements, etc., which is pretty cool because it knows how to differentiate between a beginning, like once we just submitted, before we submitted, and after we won the grant. This is where the reasoning comes into place. Like we said a lot during this week, reasoning is part of the X factors of these agents. So the way you set up these triggers is over here. It's very easy to understand and also very similar to automations. So you have here quite a lot of triggers that you can set up. You have also external tools by app like Slack, Outlook, Gmail, and Google Calendar. But for this demonstration, we're keeping it very simple. Once an item is created or a status changes in our case, then Amanda, start working. Now, what does this look like in practice? So basically, we can tell our grant discovery agent, let's do a quick run and find 5 grants. Okay. Now, while it's doing that, remember, it's only working on this group, on new grant research. So I differentiated between them. Again, this is where Manny works, and this is where Amanda will work. Now, I didn't tell you guys, but between these two, there's a small automation saying that once I switch a status to working on it, it should move here. These are older ones, so let me just delete them so none of us get confused. All right, so everything that's here is in review. I added here a rule to this board saying when when status changes to working on it, move to grants pipeline. All right, once I change here, let's take this for example, working on it, it will automatically go to this group. And what happens now? It moved to the area of the grant lifecycle agent, all right? That knows that once an item moves here and once the status changes to working on it, remember, let me remind everyone. So once the status changes to working on it, then this is when it'll start working. It takes it some time to start working on it, but I'll share with you an example. So over here, we changed the status to working on it. It was on this group, and then started breaking down every task into the sub-items with the deadlines. So if it wasn't clear until now, maybe I jumped a little bit ahead because we covered this yesterday and I was under the assumption that everybody was on the session yesterday, but I'm probably wrong. Just quickly, what Amanda does takes from a PDF, it extracts information. So PDFs of grants, for example, or it can extract this information also from a link, a PDF, and requirements being very heavy and a lot of pages can sometimes be very complicated to kind of break down into action items. And so this is how this agent helps us. Now, what we can see here is as I'm speaking, this grant that we just moved, okay, is starting to populate. So let's see this in action. Oh, another cool thing is that it will notify once it's done. So this is very cool. This is an overview. It also summarizes the grant and the eligibility, the general requirements, the required documents, the budget guidelines. So all of these are going to be also summarized by the grant lifecycle agent. And as you can see, it's populating as we go along. Now, what I love about this workflow is that, first of all, not only can these two processes work in the same time, there's always a human in the loop. There's always that human factor that needs to say, okay, I confirm, I don't confirm. So going through these grants that the grant finder searched for, I can say, okay, this is not relevant, this is relevant, let's start working on it. And then that gives the kickoff, right? So there's always a manual approval unless, you get to a perfect agent where you completely trust it. But we always recommend, at least at the beginning, put a human in the loop. Now, the second thing is that each one of the agents, all right, both Amanda and Manny, whom, by the way, you can see also here because they're on this board, and this is where you can also open a chat with them. Both Amanda and Manny have very, very specific use cases, okay? This is what I always recommend. Manny looks for grants, and Amanda starts extracting and breaking it down into tasks. If I would tell one agent to do all of these together, it might have worked less efficient. I didn't try, I must say, because I recommend this as a best practice. The more you break it down into separate tasks and the separate agents, and there's one clear objective for each agent, the better it will work. So we just saw now five fresh grants coming back from Manny's work. And yeah, this is, again, they're both working together. Manny's fetching 5 new grants while Amanda is starting to break down the different deadlines. And we can also take it a step further and see what happens when we click on awards. Awarded, it will start breaking down the post grant deadlines as well. But that's kind of like for a different demonstration. What I mainly wanted to show you was that one group, a designated agent with a specific trigger, work every day, okay? Work every day at whatever, 8 a.m., okay, whatever we decide. And the second one is now every time a status changes, start working. So this is the combo that I chose to show you guys. There's also a lot of people here that spoke about grants being one of the use cases they wanted to automate with agents. So I think this is a very good start and useful one where it can free a lot of your time to do other things or just to supervise and get notifications once it finishes the task. And as we can see, it's continuing to populate the sub items of post award. Yeah, I'm jumping back into the chat now to see if there are any questions regarding this workflow, Alex. Anything worth pointing out?
Yeah, I mean, always questions. Let's see what's maybe the most interesting for everyone. Gee, sorry, I'm busy writing, so it's hard for me
No worries,
to
no
pull
worries.
out the specific ones.
Great.
Maybe again, a few people asked about where they can get the agents. Like we talked already about sharing them, but maybe that's
Yeah.
worth repeating one more time.
Yeah, I think maybe we will take the time. Alex, we have one more
Yeah, one
demonstration, right?
more. Yep.
So let's do one more demonstration just to also spark some more inspiration, and then we will give like 10 last minutes to share with you guys also the instructions for the different templates where you can completely copy paste and tweak it yourselves.
Amazing. Great. So shall I jump in for the final one, or do you want
Yep.
to wrap anything there? Okay, amazing. Alrighty, so let me get my agent ready. Just one moment. Oh, one message that did come through was somebody was joining our previous session about Monday Vibe, where Amichai mentioned that you can request to join the kind of alpha release of the public version of Vibe, to create public Vibe. So here is that link. I just asked him for it during the session, and he very kindly replied. So I just wanted to include that there while I had it. And the next step is to download Manny. So in our previous agent session, we shared with you these links where you can download the agents. So just as a reminder, you just need to replace your account name with what it says here, account slug. So this was the first way we shared those agents. If you've got those links, my account is the Monday account. So I simply put in Monday, press enter, and it will download that agent into my account. So I'm downloading here Donnie. Donnie, if you remember, is our donor enhancement agent. So what he's going to do, I can change his design and look and color, but for now, I'll just onboard him. What Donnie's tasked with doing in the pre-built instructions is, well, first of all, getting to know you and your nonprofit and understanding what your motivations are, what your nonprofit's mission is, what kind of things you should be looking for, but then to really enhance what you know about your donors, not generate brand new donors. That would be a different agent, perhaps. What he's going to do is take a look at your existing donors, see what publicly available information there is out there, and see where there are any gaps. So here is his instructions, what he's going to do first. I'm going to ask him, please skip the introductions and let's run a test on my donors as soon as possible. So it's asking already here which board I want to connect to it. So basically it's asking where are your donors? Like let's have a look at them and we'll start to run these checks. So I can already connect any of these boards if they are correct. And I presume over here, once he's finished thinking, Donnie's going to ask me also in this point to connect to the board. Okay, so it's asking to paste the names. That's an interesting option. I could just paste them in here, or I'll use an existing board. So let's say that, and I'll tell him which board it is. The board I want you to use, Donnie, is called, let's get the exact name correct. It is this one here. This is my list of donors and my list of donations. So you can see my list of donors. Okay, I picked donors that I knew we would find stuff about. So I confess I've given it fairly easy donors to find. But you can see that, I've got pretty modest donations from some of these donors who, if you're as smart as Donnie, you may know have quite a lot of personal wealth. Jack Nicholson, though, he's a super generous donor. We'll see what Donnie does with that kind of information. And here is the list of donations listed on a separate board, how much money they've given each time. So I'll just give the board IDs to Donnie here. I can also search for them. I just have so many boards called these things. Donations list. I'll give it a unique name. Sorry, folks, just because you may not be surprised to know that I've run quite a lot of tests around donors and donations. I'll call it 1 July. Donors list 1 July. And donor management. I'll also rename this just so it helps them identify the correct board. Doesn't matter that I misspell it as long as he's got the correct name. Those two boards are also already connected. So if he doesn't have the second board, that may not be so serious. I've just renamed it, so maybe that's why he can't find it. Sorry, folks. I think it is this one here, even though it's called donors because it's in the right board. So let's go with it.
I think these troubleshooting experiences are also important to take into consideration. Also, when we do these also demonstrations for like dozens of times, it happens. And also this is something that we need to keep in mind. There's always an iteration and always fixes until it gets perfect. But once it gets perfect, then there's really a wow effect, specifically if it's something that does take you hours a week. So definitely worth it.
Yeah, and I mean, this task here will be a pretty thankless task to endlessly search online for your donors one by one, seeing what you can find without really having any idea, with this kind of like mythical aim at the end of discovering that one donor who's giving you $10 a month, but is actually a gazillionaire or the CEO of some big corporation. So, it could be quite thankless, but this way you can run it super quickly on all of your donors, and only one or two probably need to hit for that to be a really valuable bit of information. So, okay, looks pretty good here. Also, while he's thinking, I'll say that I included in my instructions to Donnie to look for something a bit fun that we can connect with our donors on. I'm not just going for the cold hard facts. It would be nice to know if they have this huge pot of secret wealth that we weren't aware of, but to connect with the donors on a personal face-to-face level when you go and buy them a coffee, it's nice to have talking points. It's nice to know what kind of things they're interested in. So I asked Donnie to look for donors with a favorite sports team. Okay, if you're going to be canvassing Spike Lee for a donation to your basketball charity, it would be very helpful to know that Spike Lee is a big New York Knicks fan and to be able to go in there and, I don't know, gift him a New York Knicks jersey or at least mention that his favorite sports team is just one. Now, that's one fairly trivial suggestion. You can, of course, change these instructions. These are the instructions that we've generated. You can see here it's looking for favorite sports team if findable. And you can, of course, change that. So here in the brain, you can see the questions that we've asked it for. You can see down here, it's asking to, as a bonus, search for the donor's favorite sports team and add this information to the relevant column. But you can add in any one of your own personal touches here. If you're a charity that helps rehabilitate injured animals, well, do a donor search to see if you can find out what kind of animals are your donor's favorite animals. And when you go to canvass them for a donation, let's reference that. Okay, hey, I know you're super into this specific type of rare dog breed. We happen to have two injured dogs. Come and meet them. Like that would be really, really impactful if you're asking a donor for money for a cause that they obviously care about. Okay, cool. So it's executing, finding this information in. It's going to look for LinkedIn. I specifically mentioned that. I said LinkedIn will be a good place to understand what kind of work your donors do. And from that, from the description of their roles, it'll be able to generate what it thinks their estimated income is, right? It can kind of reason here. It's not just pulling information, it's also actually adding this stuff. Okay, it's completed. Here's what it's done. It's added 9 new enrichment columns: personal estimated wealth, other donation summaries, suggested fundraising target, favorite sports team, and so on. So let's take a look at the donors. Okay, it did pull from our generic donors template rather than my prepared list of donors. So these are all completely made up people. Lorenzo,
Classic.
Leilani, Phoenix, and Madison don't exist, but it's done a pretty good job of guessing. Luckily, guys, I did actually think that that could be a problem. So I've actually prepared one earlier. So let's just go with the one I prepared as a backup. This is what it prepared earlier today when I ran a test. Okay, these are the donors, and this is what it estimated to be the personal wealth. Okay, so you can see that someone like Bill Gates, huge personal wealth, very small amounts of money given to us to date so far. It's suggesting that we next ask him for a huge sum of money. Now, I'll leave it up to you to decide whether that's appropriate or not. Someone like Jack Nicholson, who's estimated to be worth $300 million, who was estimated to be $400 million, he already gave us a huge donation. So his suggested target is much, much lower. It's also put in here some suggested favorite sports teams, which I think could be very easy to leverage. And what we can then do, and I'm aware that we don't have all the time in the world left here, but we could then ask Donnie to write those personal emails. Okay, based on this information. Where is Donnie gone? Come back to the agents over here. Based on that information, please draft for me an email for one donor at random. Reference what you've found in your research and ask for the suggested donation amount in a, how would you describe that? In a sensitive manner. Okay, and again, you may want to build some human in the loop here before sending that off directly. You may decide you want to be able to decide on your own if your agents are being, sensitive and human enough. But I'm sure it'll do a pretty good job of getting things started. So while that's working and thinking, maybe we can return to the chat for the last couple of minutes. Omer, is there anything super kind of pertinent or interesting that might be relevant to a lot of different people before we wrap up today?
Um, not something that I picked up on. Uh,
So maybe while it's thinking, then what I'll do is I'll just remind everyone where you can find some answers to your questions. First of all, we are going to build a Q&A based on what you've asked over the last 6 sessions. Yes, we're going to use a lot of these AI tools you already mentioned to build this, but we're going to kind of consolidate all your questions, and we will be providing that just as soon as we possibly can. We'll get that done, I really hope, in the next couple of days. But if you can't wait for those kind of questions to be answered, you always have the option of asking a question yourself in the platform. Come up here to the question mark, where you will find our help center. Articles, videos, courses. You can find anything whatever way you like to learn, we have an option. And my absolute favorite is, of course, to use AI to answer questions about AI, and that is to ask Tim. Tim is our support llama. He knows everything that's ever been published about Monday. I have used him to answer a lot of your questions because when there are technical things that are changing, and believe me, the AI stuff is new, it's evolving. Monday teams are updating public information about AI all the time. Tim can pull from the most up-to-date information instantly. But sometimes the AI can't do it all and you want to speak to a human. You can ask to escalate to speak to a human at any time for free, 24 hours a day. I don't know any other SaaS company that provides this level of support, certainly not to the nonprofits who in many cases aren't paying anything. So Tim is amazing. But if you need to speak to a human, especially if it's stuff concerning, your specific account or bugs in your billing section, I don't know, then this is a great, great resource.
Great, Alex. Thanks for that. I think what we'll do in the last few minutes is I'll share the templates that we promised um, before everyone leaves. So is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe I'll just spend 10 seconds highlighting what the Donnie has written for us here, a personal email referencing things that it found online about Leilani. We can, of course, go in and edit these ourselves if we want to, or we can have this to be sent immediately. So that kind of just to close the loop does that full part of the journey from the enrichment to the drafting of the email and even the sending of the email as well. But yeah, that's where I'll finish today.
Amazing. Thanks. And we're also sharing Donnie as well in this template. Alex, can I please? Yeah, I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to share with you all a spreadsheet that looks like this. Basically, here's the agent, grant finder, grant lifecycle, donor enrichment, and volunteer matcher. What it does, we went already through these agents this week. You have here the instructions, which you can just start an agent from scratch, or you can take the link to this agent. Remember, these agents are in beta. We're tweaking them so they're not public. What you need to do is you need to take your account name, okay, from here before the Monday, everything before .monday.com, and you paste it, okay, here, and that should show you the bringing you to the right link. I'm sharing it right now in the chat. Have fun with it, and yeah, we can stay for a few more minutes, right, Alex? Maybe there are questions
Yeah,
around
maybe
these.
maybe one more minute. If there's like maybe one or two more questions, we can try and answer those. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining. I can see a lot of people expressing their thanks, and that's really good. Oh, no Amanda in the Google Doc. Is that correct, Omer? Maria Paniagua?
Amanda is here, row number 3.
Okay, amazing. Row number 3. We didn't name them in the doc. Those names are pretty arbitrary, so you can call your agents whatever you want.
Yeah, the instructions also might not be perfect. Like we tested them a few times, but they work differently on different accounts. So again, own it and go through the process with it. We hope you'll enjoy building some of it, a part of it, but this is definitely a good kind of head start. And yeah, some final words, Alex, from
So just to
this week.
confirm, where will you share the spreadsheet on? This is going to be available? Maybe
The
I missed that.
spreadsheet is already in the chat.
Already in the
right
chat.
now.
There you go. Already in the chat. Amazing.
Right now, I will share it again. Anyone missed it?
Brilliant. Great. So yeah, I guess for me, just a sentence about this session and then about the whole week that we've had together. Our aim in this session, like I said at the beginning, was to show you some end-to-end use cases, bringing in some of the tools that we've covered during the week. But if anyone is joining only for this session, there were other sessions that we've covered, which were recorded and which you will get access to. We'll be sending a follow-up email with all of the links directly as soon as we possibly can, and we're going to work on building this, resource that you'll be able to refer back to with everything that we've mentioned. And just to summarize the week, it's been incredible. The number of people who've joined these sessions, the amount of questions, the amount of engagement has way gone past anything we expected. We ran into a couple of scale limitations as a result. So thank you all so much for your patience and your enthusiasm as we got through this. And this is the beginning of the journey for all of us, for the platform, for us as trainers, for you as users, and it's improving so fast. And the time that I've been playing with some of these things, like what agents can do, what Vibe can do, is just blowing my mind week on week. So expect these to be better next week, next month, next year. They're going to be absolutely revolutionary, and the impact that they can have for good in the world is just untapped. And it's really on you folks to leverage them for good, right? Agents can help you have an even greater impact in your communities. I'm sure they will, and I can't wait to hear more about it. Yeah, it's a really exciting ride. So that's it from me. Thank you all so much for the participation over the last week, and yeah, maybe I'll give you the last words, Omer, to close us out.
I think Hope described it the best way. Thanks for the drink from the fire hose. I think we opened the week with saying that this will be a huge amount of information, and you guys were such a great audience. Really, like we put so much thought into these last 6 sessions this week, and like Alex said, and I'm echoing it. This is the first of many to come. What's important for us is really, again, to give you all the resources to make use of this excellent technology that's now accessible. And we promise, we'll be supporting and contributing our share for the nonprofits using Monday. So we kind of really want to say thank you for joining us this week. And I won't repeat anything else that Alex said, but I will say one thing again, there will be recordings. I think that was the most common question of this week. We will send them, we will bundle everything in one page, and all the resources will be available for you guys very soon.
Amazing. Thank you all, man. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.